Thank you for tuning in to Carki Global Incorporated, where our motto is care and resources, kindness inspired. It is our goal to provide inspiration, kindness, resources, and love. May you be blessed and lifted the Carki Global way.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. It is always a pleasure to be able to reach people. I am your host, Dr. Kiki Michelle Singletary Williams, and thank you for listening in to Rap Sessions with Dr. Kiki. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from our session last week. Thank you for those concerns and questions and comments. It lets me know that at least you're tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about you better watch them snakes. You better watch those snakes. So when I was a little girl, many moons ago, there was this song that I would hear played several times throughout the week in my Christian home of you better watch them dogs. Doom, 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 doom. Sorry, I don't know who the artist is, the name of their group. That was the stanza that stuck out to me. You better watch them dogs. And of course, the leader would share so many reasons that dogs are dogs. So I want to talk about watch those snakes because as you know, I do work with clients from a multitude of backgrounds, races, creeds, cultures, religions, etc. And there's one thing that I always want to share, of course, not from any situation in particular, but in general. Every week there is another subject of, hey, ways to improve or things that we should be aware of. And this week it is watching the snakes. The snakes are there in your life. You don't realize that they're there, but they're there. They're quiet. They're watching you. They are loud. They may appear to be ignoring you. They're in your circle, but not really in your circle. But you do have an interaction with them, whether you realize it or not. That's how they, if given the chance, can get close enough to bite you. So snakes, in this respect, it's not talking about, the garden snake or the rattlesnake per se, or the little green snake that are in our climates and society today. This is referencing people in your life, on your job, who you work with professionally, who you have to interact with in your circles of the community, whether it be business or pleasure, church, community center related, in your home, in your circles when you go work out, wherever you are, this scenario or a variation thereof can present itself. And you've got to remain bite proof. Yes, you can't stop snakes from existing, but you can prevent yourself from being bitten. So when there are people around you who look for ways to second guess or third guess or fourth guess your accomplishments, keep an eye out. That could be someone who is, they have snake qualities. There are times when you may have certain accomplishments and you won't hear a congratulations, a thank you, a wonderful job, or, oh, wow, that's good. There is some type of negative response or question, or how did you get that? Or, who do you think you are now? That is, we laugh it off and sound like it's just a hint of someone just having a offbeat sense of humor. But truthfully, those are certain attributes of folks who are snakes. What do I mean? They will stab you in the back. They will present an opportunity that you deserve to someone else while bad mouthing you. They will go to your boss in a silent meeting, supposedly secure and confidential, and paint a picture of you that you yourself wouldn't even recognize if presented to you. They will not necessarily tell a lie on you, but they will say enough of something as a hint of truth that begs someone to question your character and your integrity. Snakes evolve into bigger snakes. There is a viral video as we speak, and this is the week prior to Father's Day. I want to say a happy Father's Day to all the fathers, especially my daddy. Happy Father's Day. May God continue to bless you, strengthen you, promote you, and bless you. Happy Father's Day. So, yes, right now, June 2022, there is a viral video happening now of 80-year-old going to his mailbox, minding his own business. And what? He walks upon 2 snakes. Okay, so that's kind of strange. 2 very different snakes. There was a small one and an extremely large one. So he was able to go ahead and videotape what he was seeing, but he didn't expect his video to go viral. Guess what he recorded? If you have seen it already, then you already know it is really unbelievable. He recorded a little itty bitty tiny snake, kind of green in color, actually devoured a much larger snake. Like his body couldn't even hold the bigger snake he was eating, but he was able to fold it up and digest it and swallow it. So what I have to share with you based on that is we need to stop saying, oh, you know what? Yeah, I see them over there, but they ain't, they ain't nothing. It is, again, the little foxes that destroy the vine. A snake, although it appears harmless, make no mistake about it, can be deadly. And so then you wonder, what happened to my promotion? Oh, I thought that I was going to start yesterday. Well, maybe you ran your mouth to what didn't seem very harmless, and maybe they put a bug in someone else's ear. We don't know. But the point I want to make is it's something that you have to definitely be aware of. Let's not get so caught up in all the good news and, oh my God, and all the wonderful things we're doing. This is great. That we're not using discernment, that we are not questioning the questions. We're not checking the checkers. We're just willy-nilly going through here about every little thing we hear and that someone else says, we just take it and that's the gospel. While I don't promote suspicions or suspicious behavior or people, I do think it is very necessary in this climate for you to be very, very watchful and careful. You can't go telling all your good news to people. Who cares if they live 500 miles away in the top part of the country in Alaska and you'll never really see them in real life? You don't know who knows who. And listen, let's get hip to what 2022 has brought us and has afforded us. Yes, we have been on the brink of a digital age, but the whole pandemic and people having to work remotely and do things differently remotely and utilize technology in applications, we call them apps. It's very important for you to understand that you don't have to talk to someone and necessarily hear the other person on the opposite line. There are so many gadgets that can be utilized to promote your conversation in an environment, even when you're not there. It is so important for you to realize that there's ways that people can tap your phone calls, your have listening devices on your internet box. Okay, so we've got to be aware. Just because it's not how you would think or not something that you would do doesn't mean that other people are not putting in overtime hours to do so. Just because they are what? A snake. And this conversation is something that we kind of want to talk about in private over the water cooler, or, make, little side comments to each other. But at a point, we have to learn and discern what snake mentality is. Every good job, oh, wow, that's awesome, isn't congratulatory in nature. It's, oh, well, why did they give the opportunity to him? Let me see what I can do about that. We have to understand that you've got to be your own cheerleader. Looking for that in someone else could cost you dearly. And I've known people who've been bitten by snakes, and that's just it. They never see it coming. But let me just change the subject a little bit. Snakes will actually fashion themselves as real people in your life that you need at the moment. They will paint you a whole picture, an island of sorts, of all the melodious things that they can do and will do for you, with your book, with your clothing brand, with your music. And truthfully, they don't have the means. They're hoping to get the means, but they don't have the means. So they will tell you as many lies and white lies and half truths to keep you guessing, to keep you on a string, but actually it's a huge waste of time. So when I say you better watch those snakes, we all need to sweep around our own environment. Snakes will come bringing you cupcakes, cookies that they baked, cakes, pies that they baked, in an effort to wiggle their way into your life. Gifts and presents for nothing, flowers, clothes. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that. You have just got to be careful. I think you should receive flowers and gifts and trinkets and cookies and ice cream and all the things that you can enjoy. But at the same time, we have to watch the company that we keep. And we have to be very, very vigilant with how people deal. Because while you might start your prayers with, now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And you're praying something to a big God in the heavens who lives in you as well. Others may be praying a similar prayer, but it's for your very life. So today I want to talk about a couple of different snakes. One different snake is the rattlesnake. We've heard about a rattlesnake, okay? But a rattlesnake in this respect is anyone who will, when given the opportunity, will strike. You will think that everything's going well. You'll think that we're on good terms. Wow, we met each other for brunch. I discussed our next business plan. And all of a sudden, without any warning, you're being told, we're not business partners anymore. Here is your, your cease and desist statement. You never see it coming. So I always tell people, especially in fiduciary relationships, where we're vested into certain things with our finances or some type of equity, make sure you have your own contract. Make sure that you have something that covers you. Back in the day, we could use word of mouth and you knew you were good because word is bond. And I put my word on it and you got my word. And back in the day, the word meant something. But today's time, words are just words. People are so high and strung out on things, they don't even recall what they said for the last moment or two. So we've got to stop being gullible and stop thinking that everyone thinks like us. Because it's actually, it's not something that you can just turn around and say, oh, well, we can learn and grow from it. Certain things may take you another lifetime to recover from because you were not aware, because you were not prepared. So you have to have your own set of things, okay? If there's an agreement that is reached, you need to make sure that you have something that covers you as well. If there's just one contract involved, make sure that your attorneys review said contract. Because saying I didn't know or wow, they got me, it isn't necessarily something to lean on to now today, today's time, right? It's definitely in our own best interest to make sure that we are covering ourselves. You have to ask questions. You can't be so googly-eyed and glossy-eyed about things that you fail to do your own due diligence. Because I think sometimes people come into our lives at times when there is a huge need, whatever that need is. And we allow certain things that could present themselves as red flags to blow right over because, hey, wow, this is great. But you have to make sure at the end of the day that anything that is relative to you, your success, your brand, your bottom line, any legalities of what you're doing, make sure it adds up and makes sense. If it doesn't, there's no one to blame but you. I hate to sound, the bearer of bad news, but we have to be responsible for everything that we involve ourselves in, that is presented to us, and we give the green light to. As a rule of thumb, I suggest that we never, ever make rash decisions. Take a look at it. Hold it up against the light. Run it by, a trusted professional before you venture out into something that could basically be a disaster. So the rattlesnakes, they're lethal. I know I've seen people who try to suggest that they can be bitten by snakes and nothing hurts them. Okay. But 9 times out of 10, hopefully you have your calling and election sure, as we say, because being bitten by a rattlesnake, very few people survive. So that's a type of person around you in the physical realm, in addition to the actual snake, who you don't see their true intentions. We get excited because, oh, wow, we have this same interest. Oh, and we attend this same meeting and you're members of the same club or the same organization. And we fail to check it out. What is this person's history? It doesn't mean you just ask them a million questions. They have actually Googled and ran references and done background checks on you, believe it or not. Why are you not willing to get more history about what this person has done in the past? Because if you're able to help me to take my book to the top, that's wonderful. Well, what have you done and who have you worked with in the past to make that a reality? I know all the time, sometimes, that's not a good point of reference to make because there's going to be a situation where, oh, I was working with someone, so when it was them, I get it. But there should be a track history is my point. There should be something that suggests that what you're saying and what you're doing and what you're entering into can be backed. Like today we'll say, well, show me your receipts. It's not your physical receipt from a store. It's proof of what you're saying that you've done or could do or have the capacity to do. Okay. We've got to make sure that we are guarding ourselves mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, because being around an environment where people skin and grin and, hey, how's it going? But really they have fangs and they're looking for the right place to bite you. And you don't realize it, but you're on their menu for dinner. Being around people like that can throw you if you're not careful. Okay. Coming to the realization that you are in the presence of enemies is a very, very daunting task. And it's a huge responsibility. It is not for the weak, and it's not for those who just don't have any tenacity about them. It's really important that you make sure you know what you're getting into, what you're venturing into. You don't make any rash decisions. You check the references. How many times have people hired someone and say, oh, you know what, this energy is wonderful. Great. I'm not going to check any references. You know what? You can start tonight. 9 times out of 10, they're going to live to regret that decision. Because even if checking references means you delay that new interaction and or starting that new job, it helps you so that there's not anyone that can come back and say, well, wow, what do we have here? Look what we found when we ran a reference check, right? So not only should you do your due diligence into what company you're dealing with, what individuals you're dealing with, what decisions you're making, what's on the table, what opportunities are available, research it out. But while you're doing that, also research yourself, because there are places of us being in a social digital lifetime here. There are things that are listed about you online that you need to know what's being said or what's being circulated so that you can respond intelligently to what it is that they're saying. Because if people are saying, oh my God, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Oh, wow, we've heard so many wonderful things about you. You need to be able to articulate what those things are. So always, 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 you should be Googling your own name at least once a week to see what's going on in the social media world regarding you. There's people who are posting pictures of others or posting pictures and videos of you that you didn't even realize was shared, was public information. And I have a cousin who helped to create what we enjoy now today as digital social media. And here's the caveat. It's fun, it's convenient, it helps us stay connected, it's wonderful, but those things don't get erased. So I can go out and just wipe out everything, delete an account, remove such and such, empty the trash. It's off of your system, but it never goes away. It stays in the cloud. So it kind of gives us a little bit more reality of what we're doing, okay? Because just because someone's messaging you and it's supposed to be private, again, someone can take a screenshot of that message, of that conversation. Or even if everyone decides to keep everything quiet, there's a whole nother atmosphere of folks accessing cloud messages and data. And one more thing on that. Sometimes if you call 800 number and you're talking to an automated voice, guess what? That's not 100% an automated capture. There are humans behind those recordings who, if perchance you're stuck in the queue or you keep pressing 2 when you really should be pressing 3, they're hearing your request, your concern, your report, or whatever it is, and they are routing your information or your call to the right source. So don't think that because you would prefer to speak with, an automated system that you're not interacting with a human. You still are in most cases. Don't believe me? I know, because I help people to find employment, and that is one of the resources that thankfully the Lord has blessed us with. And so obviously I know that there are jobs where people are hired to be the hidden hand behind automated systems. So word to the wise, be careful. Use technology. It's there to enhance our existence, but understand there's ways that it can be used against you. But yeah, a rattlesnake is going to bite you regardless. I don't care how nice you treat it, how many accolades you give it, it is going to bite you when it feels like it's ready. Not based on what you've done for it or how nice of a person you are and how many opportunities you've provided them, they will bite you. And it's definitely one of those going to the jugular moments. Okay. They're not going to be just trying to nip you. They are trying to destroy you. So let's not just look at the size of a snake and say, oh, that little, so-and-so, that's insignificant. A snake that has lethal abilities in its bite can still harm you. Okay. So check the checker, run the references, check your resources, ask questions, and refuse to make rash decisions. It saves you time, energy, and effort when you believe that you are worth what I just shared. You are worth that. When people invite us to things, we research where it's at. Who all is talking about it? What has any other things events happened or taken place there? Who's in charge? How many people are you inviting? And how many restrooms are there? Like, you've got to do your due diligence. You can't just show up and say, oh, well, I thoughts ain't gonna help you if you do not do your research. Not knowing is not an excuse. We put ourselves into situations because we fail to utilize the resources, and people know that you're not going to resource check. They know you're not going to do your diligence. They can tell you anything over the phone, as long as they sound convincing. And guess what? You make yourself a victim time after time after time. So if you've been victimized and have been bitten by a rattlesnake, learn from that experience, but also know it was not your fault 100%. When people allow themselves to be a rattlesnake or who just want to destroy something that you're building, sometimes it could be a hit. Sometimes it could be somebody saying, you know what, I'm so tired of so let's set her up. Let's set him up. So certain things are not just innocent. But again, you've got to be wise as serpents, humble as a dove, but wise as serpents. Why is that in God's word? He knew it would become a time where you've got to think like a snake. You've got to ration and reason as if the snake does. I know we don't want to talk about it because then people say, oh, well, as a man thinking, so is he. Well, if you're thinking like that, you must have a criminal mind. No. There's people who are today in their graves because they saw it was walking, talking, eating, drinking, sleeping, slithering like a snake. And they still say, oh, but that's my friend. Oh, but no. They were warned. They were warned again, and they still only saw the friend part of that person versus the snake part of that person. Take a step back, evaluate your surroundings, evaluate. You might have to clean out some areas, okay? And so that you can get a better sense of what's there so you can truly, truly see. All right. The second type of snake I want to talk about is the backstabber. They are going to always drop hints of what's possible, of what you could possibly be thinking, or what you're possibly getting ready to do, or the true intentions of who you really are. Like, they go out of their way to present you to a fault without calling you the fault. They want to present you as an angry person, as the villain, as the person who's unhinged, as someone who shouldn't be trusted. They'll say, well, as long as their mouth is moving, they're lying. Like, they don't have proof of the accusation, but they will plant enough of a seed in someone else's head so that when they interact with you, They can't even be genuine with interacting with you because they keep hearing what the people have said to them. So we have to make it a point to understand that sometimes your gut will just start acting up a little bit. Like, you get nauseated, you might have cramps, or just something might be going on where you get this feeling like, something ain't right. You may not have proof the first, but you have to give your body and your vibration and your energy and the Holy Spirit inside of you and yourself as being a spiritual being credit. Because it's going to say, you know what? Hold up. Caution, etc., etc. Okay? So they will challenge who you are and paint a picture of you to others. And then they will proceed to stab you in your back. They will say, well, I see you gave the promotion to such and such, but I have a little niece who actually could do the same thing for less. They'll see that you're booked for something and they will go and talk to the promoter of the show or the producer of the show and offer ways as to how they are the better pick and should be considered versus you. They will create problems in the environment, in your shared space, just so that you can react outside of your character so they can pull back and say, see, I told you. But meanwhile, people don't know everything that they were doing quietly to build up to that reaction. It is so important that you listen to your gut, because sometimes people will say, well, we just, we don't hang out. We don't set eye to eye. We don't set horses, we got different personalities, but maybe those are ways that the good Lord is saying, take a better look, take a closer look, because people want to see you eating and doing well, just not eating better than them, just not doing better than them. So we're still kind of talking about, you better watch those snakes. Now, is this everybody in the whole wide world? No, but you have to be able to deal with people according to how they are. And there's no point in hearing that someone else is a snake, they have a bad reputation, they're like a tornado, everything they touch or around is just left in ruins. There's no point in hearing a said verdict on someone's character and then thinking, oh, well, but so-and-so's always nice to me, I'm not going to worry about it. Or, oh, well, maybe something happened with you guys. Like, I'm all for getting to know people, but you have to always judge their fruit. If every time they are around something and something happens and it's always a big bogus ruckus and there's someone leaves with their feelings hurt, or there's a misunderstanding, or someone's just about fighting and drawing knives, there's a chance that it is some type of spirit or presence that drives that person to be who they truly are. And instead of changing, they enjoy it. So that's who they're going to be no matter where they are. So when I say you got to watch those snakes, you have to make sure you're taking an inventory on making sure first your own intentions are pure and that you're doing people right. And that there's no ill intent from you towards others. And once you can say definitively that your intentions are pure, you're hoping that we all win, that you're on the side of right, and you've done your own self-introspection, then you can look around your environment to do a temperature check. What do I mean by temperature check? Are we all on the same page with things? If we get together And certain people are only just sitting back listening and only want to be able to take notes and take. They're not contributing. 9 times out of 10, that person is there for an ulterior motive. Just to say, they talked about such for 2 seconds too long, or wow, et cetera, et cetera. They're there to find fault. And even in corporate settings, you have to watch people who show up to meetings, laugh, talk, contribute. But guess what? They are recording and they're sending that information to the powers that be such that they can get what they think you have. And some people think too small. They'll say, well, well, it's not a big deal. Or, oh, you just reading into stuff. Or, oh, but if you have the Spirit of God in you, which we do, and it's active, which it is, and you have a relationship with God, which we do, then he will show you the seed of the enemy. And anyone can vest themselves as a snake. Anyone. You might think, oh, well, why are they treating me like this? They have more than me. They're doing more than me. It doesn't matter. When people have a seed of jealousy within them, it sprouts, it grows, and boom, you're dealing with a live snake. I don't care how long or how short you've known the person. I don't care how little you interact with them. You have to make sure that you are using tried and true mechanisms to protect yourself. So I remember working in a setting where my manager at the time, she just hated me. I was kind, I was, trying to be professional. Everyone in the office loved me. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So when I come in, people will come out of their offices. Hey, good morning. Hey. And some days, like my coffee hadn't really kicked in yet. So I was like, hey, how's it going? But other mornings, I'm like, hey, how's it going? However I responded, it just made her seethe. That she just seethed me. She was just burning up in her hate toward me. She hated the fact that people loved me. She hated the fact that people could come and talk to me about anything, not a big deal, and move on through their day. She hated it. But I was there to earn a paycheck. I could care less, I would talk to people, laughing for a moment or whatever, but that wasn't what I was there for. I was there to do my work. So after a moment, it seemed like a long moment too, but after a moment, she began to reveal herself as the snake that she always was. Because we talk about vibes, we talk about energy, we talk about spiritual presence, we're talking about, things of that nature. But 9 times out of 10, what you feel from a person is 100% accurate. I don't care how much they say, oh, you have to forgive me. Today's, oh, my toe hurt. Oh, today's not a good representation of who I am. That energy, I don't care if their person is doubled over and sick, the energy will be 100% positive if that is a positive individual. Sometimes we mix a high voice, a smile, and, something like that. We mix that up with true authenticity. So back to this manager. She gave me, when I say it was the worst job ever to do. So she would, every day she would say, well, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And I'm like, okay, sure. No problem. And I think it started to bother her of how quickly I was able to complete tasks. So this one day, I came in, hey, Miss So-and-so, how's it going? All right, you had a good night? She was like, yeah. Anyway, didn't even have a conversation, right? I need you to go in there and alphabetize all of the file cabinets in the closet. So, okay. But let me tell y'all, the closet was a full room. with file cabinets, like they're kind of the tall file cabinets or the 5 feet and taller. There was so many file cabinets around the perimeter of each wall in that room, in the different empty spaces inside the room. Like there were aisles of file cabinets. So there was no air in there. There was no fan. We were in the middle of summer. And to be truthfully, I thought to myself, this is the most stupidest thing somebody can ask somebody to do. I mean, I remember thinking that, like, nobody's even in here. I handled the impossible task with grace. And I have to admit that when I put my mind to do something, you best believe it's coming to fruition. So I said, okay, no problem, Miss So-and-so. Thank you. I'm just here in the file cabinet area if you need anything. Went in the file cabinet area and was like, Kiki, get it done. I promise you, it was so, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It was so many file cabinets with hundreds of file folders in each drawer. And it looked like the Tasmanian devil came in there prior to me getting in there and just slung files everywhere. But I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. So that was right around 8:30. 11 o'clock, the whole room was done. I had zero help. Yes, I did. I had the Lord. The Lord helped me. And I did it. And my manager was so shocked. And they had to go in there and check behind me to verify. You sure you did that? You sure? I ain't no way. You finished that quick? What? Yes, I had. So it still didn't make her favor me anymore. Actually, she started to favor me less, if that was possible. But it was through that experience I understood that sometimes people can see your potential, even if you are clueless. And some people will support it and try to drive that enthusiasm towards something positive, and others will see it and try to take you down. And come to find out, because I kept thinking, what is her problem? But I didn't let it stop me. I was still myself. Hey, good morning. How's it going? Trying to, I see you're kind of bogged down. You need any help? Just trying to be of assistance to her. But I later found out she thought I wanted her job. I made it clear I'm here for the duration. If I can work here for the next couple years or whatever, fine. If it's the next couple hours, fine. But this is not my final stop. Maybe once, I move on with things that I have planned for myself, maybe I can come over here part-time if that is an option. But right now, I don't want your job. Like, I had to let her know that. But in her mind, she was still convinced otherwise. So that is a huge lesson within itself. We're never fully aware of other people's intentions until it is revealed to us. So that makes it that much more important and has to be a priority of you watch them snakes. I was smart enough not to take anything that she offered me to drink. Okay. When as hard and bad as I felt like I needed a strong cup of coffee to come in there every day to deal with her, when she made coffee and brought me a cup, I was good. No, thank you. Because I know how fragile the mind can operate in a process of fragility if there's not any real direction, if that person does not know who God is, if they are leaning into their own understanding, plus jealous and plus a snake and plus got all these other issues that you don't even know about, it can be dangerous. So when I say watch those snakes, you've got to watch your interactions. Just like I tell the children that I work with, when you go to and you're in school and you guys go out on the weekends, you're at the club or at the game or wherever, don't be so willy-nilly and just excited because you got some friends and now all of a sudden you got to run off to use the restroom or do something else and you leave your drink and your food. Don't come back to eat or drink and finish that. People are very fast at slipping stuff in your drinks, in your water. You think y'all getting together to just smoke or drink or what have you. Hopefully you're not. But if that is your lifestyle, you still need to be careful. Watch those snakes. If something does not look good, does not feel good, when you do your resource check, when you're asking questions, stuff ain't adding up, that's not by accident. And please believe that a person who is driven by the truth, they don't have problems answering your questions. If you got 10 billion questions to ask, they don't have a problem answering your questions because they don't have anything to hide. People who want to talk tongue in cheek, ask you what you want to know so much, being so busy and nosy for, that's a sign that there's something that they want to keep hidden from you, and they're not comfortable revealing such to you. So when you watch those snakes, guess what? You gotta up your prayer life. You've got to start talking to God, the creator, more often. I promise you, he will show you areas to proceed with caution. I promise you, he will out and out tell you to halt, hold, wait. Whatever the language is that you're accustomed to, he's going to speak in your language to you. He's also going to reveal the hidden plots and plans of folks who are trying to use you. People don't think you're intelligent enough to hear the inconsistency in the words they speak to you. And that's why we have so many scenarios of, quote, I never even seen it coming. Or we're blindsided when someone decides to backstab us or to suddenly bite us. So it's really important that you know who you are and that you understand the importance of what you answer to, what you allow, because what you allow is what's going to continue. When you stand up and demand respect that you deserve, that's when you get it. And I know that, people are trying their best to get back to a place of normalcy. I haven't been locked down for a couple of years, but you still got to be careful where you go, who you go with, what arrangements are being made on your behalf. Check the checker. You have one you. And people they've really perfected acting and being someone that they're not. And you have to remember, they're trying to get something from you. Whatever they think in their mind that you have, they're trying to get something from you. So you have to walk in grace, walk in humility, but you've got to walk in a prayer life. If your prayer life is raggedy, you can expect these snakes to have a field day. Walk according to how you know you should walk. above reproach, without fault, and in your truth. I feel people should really relish in who they are, like who God made you to be, and just the reality of who you are and what you bring to the table. I think that's a clarion call for all of us to make sure we're walking in our truth. Because at a point, you're going to get tired of acting. You're going to get tired of pretending. And if you don't be who you are to yourself, you are cheating yourself. Some people copy, they distort, they create in an effort to be like someone else. But it's very, very important to be yourself. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. But at the end of the day, you got yourself, right? But if you're all over the place trying to pretend to be this person, that person, you're going to lose yourself along the way, your true identity. And when all those other circuits and outlets run out, what will you have then? So watch them snakes. Watch your dealings. Do your due diligence. Check the checker. Make sure if someone says something regarding you that's not right, you correct them. I don't have to agree to things that I know that are being stated about me that you're saying, and they're not true. I don't have to. And sometimes we sit quietly because it's too much energy to defend ourselves. But certain things, because we've not defended ourselves, the devil feel like he got a little more power and that he can go further and further. You have to, and I'm not suggesting people have no fighting spirit or be always amped up, ready to fight. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but the enemy is real slick and he's bold, and given any opportunity, they will throw you under the bus. They will say, oh, something that they know is outside of your character, but they'll position it as if a slight joke, as if to say, y'all don't know so-and-so like I know them. And the next thing you know, people who, favored you or looked up to you start looking at you out of the side of the eye and start, stepping and pushing all the way back. Like, what's going on? And even if those things are not happening, people will do that in your life anyway. I do believe you're in a space for a season. And when God's ready to elevate you, he will. And we have to understand that when he's ready to elevate us, sometimes the people that we've always gathered around and rallied around, they're not going to be there because they're not going to the next level with you. The next level, the next chapter in your life, they're not written there. It doesn't mean anything's going to happen to them. It's just, guess what? It's time to move on. And when people walk out of your life, help them pack. When people decide to walk away from you, bid them good riddance. Because my Bible, my Creator says he will never, ever withhold any good thing from you. So yes, that was a good thing for that time and season. When that time and season is up, which only God knows when that is, times change. People decide this is not for me, I'm out. Or they get a call and guess what? They have to move overseas tonight. No warning, gotta go. So we don't wish people any badness or harm or hurt. You thank them for their time and move on. But at the end of the day, all you have is your name. So you've got to watch the little slick things people say about you in other circles. Because 9 times out of 10, they don't really know who you are, or they're trying to paint a new depiction of who you are. And that is snake mentality. Watch them snakes. Watch them snakes. You better watch them snakes. They're in the pulpit. They're standing at the door as an usher. Why can't our churches get filled? Well, somebody's nasty at the door. As soon as they say, hey, good morning, we're not talking right now. I mean, they're just, whoa. Watch them snakes. People sending their tithes and paying their offerings. Somebody going behind you talking about, child, they ain't gonna do nothing but buy another Bentley. I wouldn't send my money over there. Watch them snakes. While you're at peace and resting, other folks are kicking up a ruckus over your blessings. So please stay lifted. Stay pure. Make sure that your heart is right before God. It doesn't matter who comes against you, what comes against you. There is going to be a remnant that God is going to save. He's not left us yet. He has no intention to. So be blessed. Thank you so much for tuning in to this session, and feel free to share it. But more importantly, listen to it. Do your own research, and hopefully it's a blessing. God bless you. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to Carki Global Incorporated, where our motto is care and resources, kindness inspired. It is our goal to provide inspiration, kindness, resources, and love. May you be blessed and lifted the Carki Global way.